This is a show about facing fear, unlocking courage, and taking action.
Courage isn't necessarily a daunting thing.
It's going to give you more purpose. It's going to give you more drive.
It feels like making a courageous decision is going to get you closer to who you aspire to be.
It's knowledge plus faith plus action equals courage.
Cognitive therapy has taught me, like, what are the odds people are really thinking that shit about you? No. Shut that voice up. That's bullshit. All that stuff is gone. And that's freed up, like, all this brain to just do the thing I'm good at.
Every once in a while, you'll run into people. And by run into people, this World Wide Web thing that we've got can allow people that live, we'll call it 4,000 or 3,000-ish miles away, and you run into their stuff, and you're like, fuck yes. Like, yes, just, that's, I don't understand those are the two words that I would think about when I think about this interview today. And then you get your hopes and dreams up that when you meet the person that runs the company, that you still feel that way after you meet the person. And Aaron Starkman, man, you've held the bar. With the exception of the information you just shared, which is that you went Reuben instead of pastrami at Katz's Deli. What were you thinking?
My algorithm gets some stuff, and I saw that, and it looked good. And listen, I was wrong. It's all good.
But it takes courage to admit that, and you are
that
human.
Is courage, and that is the name of the game.
This concludes the podcast. We are officially wrapped with the fastest episode we've ever had. We're joined today by the Global Chief Creative Officer and partner at Rethink. I think it was your name that got me at first. I probably ran into you, or stumbled into the brand. Look, if you're in the creative business or marketing business, of course, Rethink. My head's been down in the leadership land for a long time. And so I think I probably ran into Rethink probably through like a Di Frost or someone at Kraft Heinz, stumbled into Rethink. And it was an immediate record scratch moment for me. I think I shared this with you before, Aaron. I'm definitely a broken record in many ways. The amount of times I've said the words, the re will set you free. And it's just the re is different depending on who you are, whether it's you got to re-galvanize your people or rethink your ideas or re-innovate in tomorrow. And then you run into a company called Rethink and you're like, I want to know more. And I've just been more and more impressed, head nods, the more I got to learn you and the business. I believe you're still fully independent-ish.
We are fully independent. And not only that, we're never fucking selling. And that may sound like some line or some bullshit, but that's real. We're structured in a way that we cannot sell. It's all happened. The paperwork, we're in a way, we're kind of like a family trust, which is what Wyden is like. So we are not selling. We are not going to be independent-ish. We are
fully independent.
We are indies forever. Go indies.
When the look you gave me at first was like he didn't do his homework. You didn't know we sold 20% of the company.
Or I was like, oh, you know what? Was that the look? I was probably a leftover look of when I saw my Reuben sandwich, and I was disappointed that it wasn't a hot pastrami with mustard. Anyways.
Well, I think Toronto is your home. You're clearly not in Toronto right now. Where are you?
No, I'm at the Bowery Hotel in New York. I was at the office today, but it's like pitch land and we're really busy. And I can have a do not disturb sign on my door. So I'm getting drinks with clients in this area. So anyways, that's where I am. I'm at the Bowery.
If you're going to carve out your time in different cities, whether it's home, other offices, on sets, humor me. How would you break down the percentages?
Way less shoots than I used to do. I was going to Cape Town a lot. Felt like every year I was going to Cape Town, South Africa. Because when you're in San Diego, right?
Yes, sir.
So if you're up here, I'd include New York in this too. But when it snows, when there's a summer spot happening in a few months, you can't shoot in the snow, so you gotta go somewhere and shoot with what looks like summer, and that's certainly the case in the beer business. And I was always in the past going down to South Africa, Uruguay, and shooting was probably 20% of my life back then. These days, it's about 4%. I'm, 50% in Toronto, 30% in New York, and math was never my specialty. There's maybe some pastrami shops in there along the way.
When you do hit that 4% number, I'm curious what gets your brain for those 4%. Yeah, when you still hit a set, what like, oh, I need to be, I'd like to be, or I need to be. Do you recognize if a 4%er hits? What's the criteria?
It's never because I want to go, to be honest. These days with like 3 kids, I never want to just like leave. I did hear a story. I did hear Jason Bateman talk about Juno, and he gave a very honest to the same question you just asked. He took on Juno. He was in Vancouver, and it was a 3-week shoot. And the reason why he took it on, this is his answer to your question, and I'll give you mine. So the reason why he did it is because he had a newborn, and the newborn was colicky, and it's like, fuck, this is tough. And it's like 3 weeks, Vancouver, I'll do it. So he did it, and that's why he was in an Academy Award-winning film. But for me, I don't love leaving my kids. So if I go on a shoot, I have to go. It's got to be because like maybe a creative can't go, or it's just really important that I do, or the client has
delicately
demanded,
delicately nudged. Right.
But yeah, no, for the most part, like I try to avoid it, and I'm completely trusting. I'm completely trusting of our CDs and everyone that goes on shoots, our producers. We're good. We're good that way. We're good on the shoots, and I only go when I kind of have to.
I mean, all of this begs the question, if Bateman wasn't in Juno, who else could have played that role? Obviously, right? Like, who else would you have slipped in there to take on? Like, he was so good. So good. Unassuming.
Yeah.
Clearly, this was before Ozark, too, right? Like, we didn't see that side of Bateman.
Yeah. Honestly, I could see Owen Wilson, believe it or not, in a role like that. That was kind of the role.
I do. I think that makes sense.
Wow, Juno. Wow.
Although he's like a little too, like, you could see him going younger. If you know, like, I could see him going more playful, younger. Bateman has that discipline line, but you're right. There's an innocence.
Yeah, but he turned out to be kind of creepy in that movie. But
these are facts. For those who haven't studied Rethink, it's pretty impressive what you all have built. I mean, the accolades are not small. We'll put them in the notes, so we don't have to do that right now. But congrats!
Thank you.
Like when you thought about this, I'm curious. Usually, good things start from frustration or anger, like or sadness. Like I know or fear, which is fear and courage are kin, right? So like when I think about any time that I've fumbled my way into starting something, it was frustration and fear really that led the way. When you go back to the beginning for you, are you like, were any of these feelings resonating for you, or was it more unemotional and you just sort of like saw an opportunity?
Like we really hit our stride right before COVID. Well, you know what? I'd say it was COVID. COVID is when we hit our stride. It was a scary time. And to answer your question, I do think fear was the spark that ignited a lot of our success. We didn't know what was going on. Like most of the world, we didn't know what was going on. And out of fear, we went back to the founding principles of Rethink, the things that, you sometimes get away from, over the years. And we just hit the owner's manual hard. And the owner's manual has a shitload of process in it. And we just started saying, we're gonna go back to what kind of got us here. We're gonna double, triple, quadruple down on it, on our process, on everything that makes us us, including. I know this seems like bullshit or sounds like bullshit, but it's not. But we follow prioritizing people, product, and profit in that order, and we did that. Talking about policies, how we help people through the shitstorm of COVID, how we deal with mental health, and then like how do we do cool shit, the work? Because ultimately, the one thing that will not leave you spiritually debilitated or can is if you're like doing work that is kind of good, and if it's kind of good, you're going to be happy, and then hopefully the profit will kind of take care of itself for the company and the employees. But we really just started going to things that worked for us, like following something called CRAFTS. That's an acronym, CRAFTS, CRAFTS. And is it clear? Like, this is the lens in which we look at work, and we tell our clients this too. So is it clear what we're doing? Is it relevant? Is it achievable? Like, is it going to shut down the Coors Light brewery? Is it fresh? If it's done, it's dead. Is it true? So is it ownable? And that's what we mean by true. Like, can only Molson Canadian do it or Heinz Ketchup do it? And is it shareable? People going to want to share. Are people going to want to share stuff? And I mentioned crafts to answer your question about fear starting something special. Yes, COVID caused fear. Fear caused us to really double down on crafts. One of the first things we did was the first funny thing that happened in that sea of shit. If you remember all that, in these challenging times, that just shitstorm of bleh, when like advertising started to suck and nobody had fun, we told our teams, crafts. A team came to us in those early days. They're like, we don't know if we can do this. It's funny. What is it? And it was one of our first hits for Heinz Ketchup. Everybody, I mean, I was doing these puzzles with my kids. Everybody was doing these frickin' puzzles. Nonstop. Like, that's what you're doing. You're like, what? Things were so dark and depressing.
Totally.
That you do puzzles.
Puzzles went to the front of the line.
Puzzles, right? And it's just like that was the world we were living in. On top of the shitty advertising in these challenging times, we're doing puzzles to cope. So we thought, okay, like, since this is a thing, it's relevant, let's do a puzzle for Heinz. Is there something that can make it ownable for Heinz? Back to the T, the true. Okay. What is true about Heinz? From those famous commercials, it's slow, patience, and the ketchup is really slow. So the team said, let's make the world's slowest puzzle. How do we do that? It's only red. It's going to be like agonizing. So, and that was,
clear, relevant, achievable, fresh,
yeah,
ownable.
And you want to know something? Yeah, and it was all of them, and it was shareable. We put out a few. We put out 57 puzzles. I'll get to another principle in a second, but we put out 57 puzzles, and just by putting out 57 puzzles on social, it's on Jimmy Kimmel, it's on Jimmy Fallon. This is when they're just starting, they're starting to get back and
reemerge
monologues, right? So they're talking about it. It's like, hey, this is funny. We're funny. Let's talk about funny things. And that's all over the news on CNN. And we look at that and it's like, okay, this has sparked something else that we give it a name. It's called Go Then Grow. Let's just put something out. The MVP, let's just put it out, minimum viable product, and see what happens. And it's a way that clients can do free research, basically. Look at the comments on social. Look at the sentiment. Is it positive? Is it 50-50? Is it polarizing? The sentiment on that puzzle was all good. People were losing their minds. The press is calling, like, it's going out it's on, CNN that day. It's all good. All the comments are good. So go then grow means, okay, start to put some money into it and grow out the idea. So 57 puzzles became 570 puzzles very quickly. There was a full-blown advertising campaign around the puzzle shortly after that. And then it was in every Walmart around the world for sale. So that's Go Then Grow, and and basically crafts. Go Then Grow is two of the main things we do, two of the main things we've always done, and it took COVID and fear to bring it out of us.
Man, I, as a younger business owner, a younger creative business owner, I used to get mad losing on process. When you knew you would pitch against somebody and you felt in your heart that your product, your work was better. And then you'd be like, did we just get kicked in the teeth on process? And then you wake up one morning and you're like, wait a minute, that's my fault. Like that's on me. Like, we have not done a good enough job making this as easy as possible for a client to understand why. And let's call it what it is. Like, art and commerce, there's daylight between the two. Like, they're different languages, right? Like, what I like about, I mean, it sounds so simple now, like clear, relevant, like these are tells. These are not shows.
You remembered it.
Right? I got crafts. I think when you work with craft, you're also going to remember crafts, but that's a whole nother. Yeah, I'm sure you're over that one. But like, what I like is whether you're a lot of the work that we do now is behind the curtain with teams, and it's like, hey, like, what are the team principles? What do we say that's important? Use those as filters for decision making. And so, crafts to me is, whether you're on day one of the job or you've been there 1,000 days, you kind of have your criteria for how, like, don't even guys, did we really just have a meeting and you presented this? Like, this is not true or achievable. Like, come back. It just saves a lot of time, I imagine, as well.
I do it every day. And it's how I give creative direction. And I say, listen, it's 0 out of 5 on the true. Leaders are repeaters. So I repeat this till I'm blue in the space. I try to have our other leaders repeat it. Our group heads, our ECDs, our CCOs, repeat this. When you give creative direction, the best way to have people know if they have a hit on their hands is just when you kill stuff, you tell them exactly why, and you do it in the lens of crafts. There's no relevance. Therefore, we may be doing an idea that's done. Like, listen, don't if there's no relevance, you got to scour the internet and like do the whole, is this done? Was this done like 15 years ago? Like, we had to do it, every once in a while we'll have something. Like, I remember we had something for Tangerine. It wasn't highly relevant. It was a great concept. It was like a metaphor about jumping through hoops. Now, this was like a low, like low on the R, but it was really good on all the other things. But it was just people basically literally jumping through hoops, right? Like, there was Tangerine is a bank. So they were literally jumping through hoops, but look, the spot did well for the business, but we were scouring the internet to see if like someone did a jumping through hoops metaphor. But like, just to avoid that, I tell teams, just avoid that. Have things be relevant, tied into culture. Like, even if it's just general, like tipping culture is crazy right now. You buy a pack of gum, do something on tipping culture, because you're not going to see a million ads that are on tipping culture. Get there. Like, just get there. So
I love how it takes I think you know more than most, by the way, but like, for being such an emotional business, right? Like that's what we're being asked to do. Like we're all living on autopilot and we're all going through our days. And somehow when you're not there to defend whatever piece of content comes across your feed, it's got to be a short circuit moment. It's got to have some emotion. And yet what's nice about clear, relevant, achievable, fresh, true, shareable is
Look at you.
it takes the emotion, right? It's what's the biggest, you talk about the biggest pain point in our business. Oh, it's so subjective. It's like you liked this or didn't like this because you slept wrong that night. And I think what's nice is you figured out a way to take the emotion out of this, or you're at least unemotional about auditing emotional ideas, which is probably a better way to put it. So, cap tip to you, man. Did you guys have it straight out of the gate, or was it something that COVID
Yes.
hit? Okay, you did.
No, we had it straight out of the gate. We added the S before COVID. I think we added the S. It was a while ago, like when Facebook was popular. So anyways, but that's like 20, whatever. It's in the 2010s, so it's been around forever. It was called Crafts with the C, and now it's Crafts.
So, what I love most about getting to know you is that you're a real dude. You make mistakes. Sometimes you go Reuben over pastrami, right? Like this shit happens, right? You're going to own it. Courage is a lot of my favorite moments for me is just, I get to just be me now. Like, and I haven't always gotten this right. Like, there's a lot of fear when you're a young, we'll call it even in the creative business. You're working your way up and you're trying to please everybody, I basically have now owned a creative business for 20 years, and I've definitely feel there have been moments where I surrendered who I really was, 1% a year over 20 years, and you look back, you're like, wait a minute, until I course corrected that on myself, and this is now me on Saturday, on Tuesday, on Friday, big client pitch, keynotes. I can admit that, that it's taken me a lot of work. It's almost like therapy, like reading and whatnot has been my therapy to get to here now. When you think about your journey through the lens of courage, not just the professional side, like the personal side, does it land with you? Like, you're like, I've actually kind of lived a courageous.
It's a good question. I think I have not been courageous throughout most of my adult life, and which coincides with my professional life in advertising. I've been in the business since I'm 24 3/4. And I would say that I for the most of those years from starting from 24 3/4, I avoided situations, whether that's socially, like with my wife, like even just like going out with other couples. Like this is all rooted in anxiety. Everybody has their own take on childhood. It's like there's a stand-up comedian did this. I forget who, but there's two kinds of people in the world: people who had a great childhood and people who are funny. And I'm funny, but we don't need to go back to like Aaron Starkman, age 0 to 16. But I'll tell you, like I've talked to my therapist a lot about my childhood, and the bottom line is, as a byproduct of like not having the healthiest childhood, I've developed anxiety, and that manifests itself in just like avoiding situations. It's funny. I'm great talking in front of thousands of people. Like I'm great with it. I don't know what it is. I'm a bit of a performer, so I think I'm performing like an actor. When I was younger, I always used to tell funny stories, and I had that creative side in me. And I feel like I'm just performing when it's in front of many people. But this anxiety kicks in when listen, I'm a disaster in an elevator. You talk about like small talk elevator talk being a problem. That's a problem for me. So we're talking like 2 to 6 people. I have avoided that like the plague. And I'm talking about this because, and answer your question honestly, because it is a good news story. For the longest time, I was not courageous because I did not really get into therapy. I never really tried cognitive therapy. I have, I heard all kinds of things about taking even like a low dose common thing, like an anti-anxiety medicine would kill your creativity. I'm like, that's all I got. It's how I support my family, pay my mortgage. That's what I got. I'm not gonna destroy that because I don't know, like happiness isn't worth that, so I avoided it. Eventually I said, fuck it. I started doing cognitive therapy, and this was after my mom died. I had a very vivid dream, and that's the reason why I started doing it. The most real thing in the world. It was before her funeral, but after she died. So like right in that, that fresh, raw, like terrible time, I had a vivid dream of my mom saying, look, honey, you've lived a long time. I'm very proud of you for all you've done in the business. And so I'm so proud of that, but it's just not worth it if you're not happy. You gotta get out of your own head and deal with this and just take care of yourself. The next day I went on the Google, I looked up CBT, cognitive therapy, and I just started having therapy. I did go on a low dose of anti-anxiety meds, and things have never been better in my life ever.
I love that.
And so that was courage for me, because there was a real risk I could lose my profession. I don't know, like this, like me coming up with things fast. That's what I have. I'm not a great sales guy. I'm not Mr. Salesperson. Like I walk in like a super account person. My fastball, for a baseball analogy, is coming up with ideas. It's that. And if teams show me something, that's my fastball. I'll build on it, right? Yes, I have that process, but I'm able to build on it. Maybe it'd be 5 out of 5 true if you did this or this, but like it's me thinking. So it turns out that's not a problem. These meds, cognitive, like it does not affect that. In fact, I've never had so much professional success since starting cognitive therapy, since getting on a low dose of anti-anxiety meds. And I think that's because all the shit that was in my head, like all the, if I do this and that leads to that, that leads to that, and that leads to that, and then I may lose my job, or then
totally,
or so and so will not be friends with me, or my sister's going to be really mad at me. Whatever it was, all this shit in my head, I've stopped obsessing about it, and because the cognitive therapy has taught me, like, what are the odds people are really thinking that shit about you? Like, that's what's good about cognitive therapy. It's like, it just teaches you strategies on just like, no, shut that voice up. That's bullshit. And that's not really what's up. So all that stuff is gone. Like, or I've learned how to quickly like shut it down. And that's freed up like all this brain
totally.
to just do the thing I'm good at. And it's gone great. So, I highly recommend. I thank you for asking that question. I'm happy I answered honestly, because maybe there's some creatives out there who are, like on the fence. Do I do this? Do I not? Oh, I heard this about anxiety meds. Like it's going to mess with my creativity. Give it a shot. Like I'm telling you, you have nothing to lose. If it doesn't work, like start with the therapy and go from there. I'm telling you, it's a good thing.
It's funny you're thanking me. I want to thank you, like, for answering it with the real. And I do think we're mirrors. So when we talk about repeaters make believers, right? Like, I think you're giving people a reason to pause and think about, hey, what's going to work best for me? And many, many questions. One, obviously, really sorry to hear about your mom. Crazy that she comes back in a dream.
Yeah.
That soon, by the way.
Yeah.
Like that soon that she's like, now hold on, Aaron, before I get out of here. I mean, come on, right?
Weird. Yeah, it was too weird. I'm not a believer in that light
of
at the end.
things.
There's a light and all that stuff, but I'm like, that felt real.
Yeah.
It felt real, like really bizarrely real to the point I went online. I'm like looking it up. Like, is this the thing? Like, do people come back in dreams? And I was like, it was the most real dream I ever had. And of all my years for that the most real dream I ever had to come at that moment in time. I said, I did something about it. I don't know if it was spiritual or what, but I do know that changed my life, that one dream.
How old were you? And it's a two-parter. So like, how old were you? And then is it almost impossible, when you run the movie back, the mom memory movie back, like, is that always part of the mom memory movie, or do you go to that moment?
So it was not that long ago, right? So it was after my mom's been gone for 3-4 years. So like that's how, and it's been the best 4 years of my life. So, and yeah, and best professional years, best creative work, best relationship with my kids, just everything's the best.
I remember hearing this is the sports dork in me, because I'm a big sports guy. I love Colin Cowherd. I remember this is my version of your comedian just bit, but he's not, he's a sports commentator, talk show host. He talked about, he's like, let me get this straight. When your knee hurts, you take medicine for your knee. Like when you sprain your ankle, you do something, right? You don't just leave it alone. You ice it, you give it what it's need. But when your brain hurts, when your mind hurts, we don't trust the medicine. We assume it's going to screw us up. And again, I think he was coming at it, sports lens through the concussion arena. But when I hear you share your story, and let's take the complicated reality. If we just look at, it's very hard today to lead clearly. I would definitely say we have a clarity epidemic. It is a cloudy time. And I don't envy, even for you, you got a lot of humans to juggle, a lot of business to juggle. I'm not trying to try to send you down a spiral here.
No, we're good.
I just lost Aaron. But I go back to crafts. I go back to the first letter, and now you have a little extra edge to help you stay clear, which it's like you pass go on the Monopoly board. Then if it's clear, you can move on to relevant. By the way, is crafts prioritized? Like, do you start with clear and then you move to relevant, or is it just sort of, no, if we don't hit one of the markers, we're in trouble here?
So yeah, it needs to be good. It needs every letter needs to be hit. Every letter needs to be hit. So yeah, and we do inventory at the end. We do inventory quarterly. We put work on the floor, and we look at it, and we put it on a scale, and we mark it. Was this crafts? It's sure enough, like the work that is the most crafts, like that has 5 out of 5 C, 5 out of 5 T, all this stuff. Guess what? That's what we win at Can with. That's what we win Effie's with. And it's like, it's a good predictor. But yeah, I mean, I have it's like the Monopoly analogy is great. I do have the clarity in my life. And hey, I want to come back to a thing you said, just to get funny for a second. Colin
How was your childhood?
It's gonna be a serendipitous confluence that's gonna happen right now that wrap a bow on this little segment. So look at those serendipitous confluence. I like it. I like it. So
serendipitousconfluence.com.
Serendipitous confluence right here. Confluence, when two rivers come together. That's what. Yeah, anyway, so if this is what it is, right? So you mentioned Colin Cowherd, and a minute before that, I said all this shit is out of my brain, that I can just have stuff that helps me with work. That includes movie references from sports. I'm able to remember more. So this guy Colin Cowherd heard that you mentioned. I'm not really familiar with him that much, but I will tell you, this is going to freak you out. You can Google it after. That's a great take about mental health that he had. And about concussions, right? I never saw that. I'll tell you the worst take in sports history, and it was from him. Google it. Google it. Google it. I promise you this is correct. And I promise you it's him. He said that Ben Simmons is the basketball player is going to be the next Michael Jordan.
Stop it.
Google it.
Hold on. Are you sure he didn't say Michael B. Jordan? Is there any part of you that he said...
Okay, so he said he's going to be amazing. He's going to be unstoppable. And I listen, all due respect to, I'm sorry about Ben Simmons is not great. He's not, listen, he's just, he really had a terrible career, So
still time. There's still time, no? LeBron's still playing.
Well, you're right. And I think they're the same age. They're both 40. No.
Now, if he just starts therapy, maybe. All right, let's play time machine for a minute here. So, we already know that if you had your way, maybe you'd spend more time in Toronto or wherever your people are.
Yeah, my family is in Toronto. Yeah.
So, let's say we got a time machine and it's a decade from now. So we're 10 years out. You've masterfully set up the business, the family trust. Where it's now, right? It's independent, not independent-ish. Right? What's your happy place look like? Have you gotten that far out?
I have.
Ooh, tell me more. Yeah, let's hear it.
I have. There's going to be a 7-minute answer.
We got 7 minutes. Putting you on the clock. I'm putting you on the clock. Go.
Start the clock. Start timing. Here we go. So to answer your question, time machine, 10 years out, you said, right?
Yes.
Okay. So 10 years out, it looked something like this. I have to mention before I answer, we have got into a habit way back in the COVID days, right? Back when we're scared shitless. What are we going to do? So back in the COVID days, we said, let's write down a BHAG, which is an annoying business term, but we wrote it down. Big, hairy, audacious goal for those listeners who've never heard that before. So we wrote it down, and at the time, 2019, right? COVID was March, right at the beginning of 2020, right? So it was 2019, and we wrote down we would like to be the agency of the year in the country of Canada. We were about the 7th best agency at that time. We wrote it down. We set the conditions to go after that goal. I promise you I'm answering your question, but it's all related.
The clock is running.
Yeah, no, I'm at minute 1.5, and I'm coming. It's all going to come back to, we're going to end at 10 years on the nose. So we, professionally, we realized, writing down goals is good. Then we said let's win agency of the year in Canada, digital agency of the year in Canada, and design agency of the year in Canada, all in the same year. We did that, right? These BHAG things are things that you're not supposed to get. And no one in the history of the country did that. And then we started to write down crazier goals. Let's be the independent agency network for the world in Canada. Let's be number 1 for the world. Fuck Canada. Or let's shoot higher.
What year is this? 3rd year?
Yep. No, well, this was probably 2023. We set that. I think we missed it by a hair. But we were all around it. We were in the top 3 for the last 3 years. And this year we did it. We hit the agency of the year, for Toronto, and the indie network of the year. And we only have 4 offices. So it's kind of crazy. This is there's places with hundreds of agencies, the independent companies. So
hold on. I'm going to pause the clock here. I'm going to give you an extra 30 seconds just to say, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah. Thank you.
When you're in it, do you can you pause, do you guys pause and go, can you believe this? Or are you in there, or is it just on to the next?
It's tough. My mentor, Chris Staples, he said it's so important. If there's roses, you stop and you fucking smell the roses. I have not been great at that, but leaders are repeaters, and I've been. Chris is retired, but I've been saying that too. You know, when these things happen, you smell your roses because the business can be tough. When good things happen, celebrate it, smell the roses, and then move on, and then go after the goal again. Listen, we're going for the goal again, but
clock is ticking again. We're back on the clock.
Clock is ticking again, but I've seen, I've never been such a writing down goals person, but the COVID spurred it on, and I've seen evidence that it works when you write down your goals. So I wrote down a goal for me. Back to those, I don't know, remember those commercials? They were like, or the company Freedom 55, retire when you're 55. You don't have to right? And so it's like, I want to retire when I'm 55. Like, I'm not a person that always needs to be doing stuff. I don't always need to be doing meetings, and I'm not one of those people that goes stir crazy when they're not working. I like nothingness. I work really hard. When I have a vacation, I put my phone in a safe, like in the hotel safe. I lock it up, and I don't want to be bothered with work. I need to unplug. And I don't know, listen, I don't know if that's going to be a forever thing, but right now my goal is 55. I want to be done. I want to be done. And just we try to set the conditions professionally to get agency of the year in Cannes and network of the year in Cannes. I'm trying to set Rethink up for the most success imaginable, which my part in this, I have other partners, but my part is the work. My part is the work. For me to be able to retire, we need to keep doing really good work, and we need to do really good work for another 5 years. And, if you do good work, hopefully money takes care of itself. And we're never selling. So I'm not getting a massive payday in 5 years. We're not going to sell to Omnicom or WPP, or if they're all connected or whatever. I don't know.
Right.
We're not selling. We're not selling to anyone. So I need to set the conditions. So Rethink is really a household name by the time I'm 55. Where when Lee Clow was like, oh, they're talking about Apple's agency, but way back in the day. I need that to be Rethink. And so we're trying to do that. And to answer your question, 7 minutes on the nose. I don't know what we're at, but that's where that's my time machine takes me to retirement and leaving the agency with the next generation and fully trusting them and having them follow crafts, lead crafts, teach crafts, follow, go, then grow, and just continue doing it and have it Rethink stay independent forever until I'm 75.
So at 55,
yeah.
How old are your kids then?
Yeah, that's also just a good situation. Was my daughter, my youngest, will be 20. So that's good. That's what I want to do.
And then I know you're like, nothingness is cool. So is there a dart on the map where you'd like to do that nothingness? Is it Toronto? Is it others? Is it like, I'm going to St. John's or Bahamas? I know you're not coming to America, but that, maybe 5 years from now. But let's not do that. Do that podcast.
Being a Canadian, I want to be as far away from winter as possible. I think where I live, just now in Toronto, basically anywhere an hour north is beautiful. I believe the province of Ontario has the most freshwater lakes than anywhere else in the world, per square foot. So summer, I love the idea of summer being near-ish Toronto, but not Toronto. We're talking pristine lakes. And winter being somewhere warm. I'd like to be healthy and eat less bacon cheeseburgers and jog on the beach and have some tuna.
Hey, anytime you want to come visit San Diego.
Oh yeah, you're living that. You'd say so. We have relatives who live in San Diego, or just north of San Diego. Anyways, that's
where we are. We're just north. We're in Encinitas.
Yeah, I don't. They're in Carlsbad. Is it Carlsbad?
Carlsbad. I can see them from here.
Yeah, so they're there. They love it, and it's the only they had. There was a fire. There was a fire, but they're good.
I'm usually skeptical of when there's the word "bads" in a city. I try not to. I like Carlsbad, but
right.
No, seriously, would love to give you the nickel tour. It's there's a few things that I took away from today, and then I'd love for you to kind of just do you and wrap us the right way. I mean, one, cap tip to what you've built, what you're building. Probably similar where you're like the highs are highs, the low. You try to stay even when you're in it, but take a moment. I like what your mentor said about take a moment to smell the roses. So, I really loved your intentionality, and anyone that's listening, whether it's through the lens of BHAGs, you actually inspired me with the new term. I'm going CHAG, crazy, hairy, audacious goal, because I think like it's something is crazy until it isn't, right? Like sometimes big is not big enough is what I've learned from you today.
You shouldn't be able to get a BHAG, and it's like, wow, we're getting these, so we need to
go bigger.
Maybe that's it.
CHAG it. CHAG it up.
The CBHAG.
Right. I think your ability to take yourself, commit yourself on the journey to work on yourself, capped up to mom, right? Or whatever instigated it, right?
Eleanor Starkman.
Yes. So to Eleanor and the fact that it's helped you get more clear. And so the other thing is just, I think we've talked a lot about it already, but the methodology, the process, and how do you help people, especially who are on the other side of the table? How do you give them? And I've learned this on the courageous side. I'm sure you're this. I almost have to make it the most uncourageous condition for them to choose courage. You almost have to make it as safe as possible for them to do something super brave. And I think the criteria that you've created, so if you're listening, folks, like what is the process that you can hold the hand of the people you're working with, both at your company and those across the table, that you could create to go, okay, I see, that's what I'm shooting for. Clarity is a rarity. Get super clear and then go after it. So these are a few things that pop for me. And then you're Canadian, so of course you're funny. You were funny without the bad childhood, but like,
well, yeah, when it's this cold, like you need a sense of humor. That's another. I think that's why there's so many comedians and Canadian comedians.
You guys have the market like a lot lockdown on humor.
We are locked down. All the Canadians are just north of you in LA or Hollywood.
So take us home. Like how you want to wrap?
Well, I'll just build on what you said. It's funny, like it's like we built this thing. We have this crazy process when we pitch business. It sounds a lot like this podcast, which is like, hey, here's some work. Let me tell you how we got to it. And it's this process, including, getting clients into the kitchen early. And what we tell them is like, we want you to have zero courage. Like by the time you have a final meeting with us, you're nodding your head because there's no surprises because you were in early. We went through a diligent process and there's not a surprise. There's not a surprise in the world. You were there on the journey, and Rethink does this crazy diligent process and here we are. So listen, I think it's not in this business. It's not, you don't have to be courageous in every single minute of every single day. That's a lot of trust falls. And so it's a lot to just like, trust us,
Yeah, totally.
So anyways, but having courage, really important. It's a great name of a podcast. it's good to pick your spots in life, when to be courageous. And I thank you for having this conversation with me. I am especially appreciative of you allowing me to talk about my mental health journey. It's like the second time I've ever talked about it publicly. And I got to tell you, I'm already like feeling good like that. I'm going to have wind in my sails for the rest of the day that I got that out again.
That's awesome, man. And I'm grateful you felt comfortable enough to share, and we're all better because of it. I think you guys shouldn't have to worry about Rethink event like being a household name. And I know the work is never done. Keep rocking it, man. And then if you find yourself in Carlsbad, look me up.
Yeah.
Deal.
Yeah, I'm going to be there in the next 12 months, and I'll take the tour. I'll take the tour with you.
Deal, man. Be good. Thanks, Aaron Starkman.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Courageous Podcast. If you enjoy the show, don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts so more people can find us. See you again next week.